You are listening to the Weekly Wrap-Up with your hosts Marcel and Will Thompson. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Wrap-Up, where we look at all the results and table standings in football in New South Wales from the NPL all the way down to the State League. I'm your host Marcel and joined alongside me is Will Thompson.
Thanks Marcel, it's great to be back for another week, and what a week of NPL action it has been.
Starting off with the NPL 1, Round 4 saw Wollongong Wolves defeat Sydney FC in a thrilling 4-3 encounter down at Lambert Park, while Manly United won 2-1 to Marconi Stallions down at Marconi Stadium. Blacktown City defeated Sutherland Sharks 1-0 at Lily Holmes Stadium, while Mount Druitt Town Rangers picked up their first win of the season, defeating Rockdale City Suns 2-0 at the Illidan Sports Centre. Sydney Olympic also got their first win of the season, defeating Hakawa Sydney City East 1-0 at Hensley Athletic Field, while RPL Leichhardt Tigers defeated Sydney United 58 3-1 at the Sydney United Sports Centre. It's actually interesting to note that this is the round where everyone except Blacktown City, the away team, actually got the victory. The Wolves' victory against Sydney FC sees them sitting pretty in first spot on 10 points, with RPL not too far behind on 9 points, while Sutherland Sharks and Marconi Stallions anchor the bottom of the table both at 3 points, while Mount Druitt, Sydney Olympic, Sydney FC and Rockdale City sit on 4 points each. It's actually a very tight table at the beginning of the season, so who knows how it's actually all going to play out. Round 5 of the NPL 2 saw Bonnyrigg White Eagles and Rotherham Lions play a 0-0 draw at the Bonnyrigg Sports Centre, while Blacktown Spartans defeated St George City 2-1 at the Blacktown Football Park. Spirit FC and Macarthur Rams drew 1-1 at Christie Park, while Mounties Wanderers defeated St George FC a crushing 5-3 at the Illidan Sports Centre, while Northern Tigers and Canterbury Bankstown played out a 3-0 win to the Tigers at North Turramurra Recreation Area. The Western Sydney Wanderers defeated Hills United 4-1 at Valentine Sports Park, while North Shore Mariners defeated the Central Coast Mariners 2-1 at Northbridge Oval in a Mariners derby of sorts. It's quite interesting at the NPL 2 ladder, as Spirit FC occupy top spot on 13 points, while the Western Sydney Wanderers are second on 12. There is a bit of a gap between them and the North Shore Mariners, Northern Tigers and Hills United, all on 9 points, while Rotherham Lions in 6th place occupy them on 8 points. Canterbury Bankstown way down at the foot of the table on 1 point after the round that just finished. Round 4 of the NPL 3 saw Dulwich Hill defeat Sydney University 2-0 at the Sydney University Football Ground, while Stanmore Hawks saw a 3-1 win over Parramatta FC at Arlington Oval. Bankstown City and Hawkesbury City drew 1-1 at Yenson Park, while Dunbar Rovers picked up a 2-0 away win at Rondine Stadium against Camden Tigers. Gladesville Ride Magic defeated Inter Lions 3-1 at Christie Park, while the games between the Western New South Wales Mariners and Bankstown United, as well as the SD Raiders and Granville Rage, were both washed out. The game to be played at a later date. Gladesville Ride Magic are sitting pretty at the top of the NPL 3 ladder with 12 points, 3 points clear of second place Dulwich Hill on 9, while Sydney University and Bankstown City occupy 3rd and 4th respectively on 6 points, while the very unlucky Western New South Wales Mariners still sit at the bottom of the table on no points, while Inter Lions not too far, as well as Hawkesbury City sitting on 2. In the Men's State League, Fraser Park drew 1-0 with Prospect United at Fraser Park, while South Coast Flame recovered from their 7-0 thrashing last week to defeat FC Ghazi Auburn 3-1 at Ian McLean Park, while Central Coast United defeated the University of New South Wales 2-0 at Plume Park. Unfortunately, 2 games were indeed washed out this round, with the Western Condors and Balmain Tigers seeing their game postponed, and Nepean FC and Hurstville City Minotaurs their game also washed out. Hurstville FC have the bye. Now, the table for the Men's State League isn't really much to go by. It's only second round in, and some teams have played 2 matches while others have played 1. But sitting in first place is Fraser Park on 4 points, a position they haven't occupied in a long time since their demotion into the State League, while Western Condors Nepean FC, Hurstville FC, Central Coast United, and South Coast Flames sit on 3 points, while 3 teams anchor at the bottom that are Hurstville City Minotaurs, the University of New South Wales, and FC Ghazi Auburn on 0 points. Ghazi Auburn sitting on clearly the last spot as they've played 2 games with no success, while University and Hurstville City Minotaurs 1 game apiece with no wins after that. It's an interesting start to football in New South Wales in the 2019 season, so who knows if the teams at the top can keep their positions. Let's say, for example, can Wollongong Wolves keep up their fantastic form in the NPL 1, and can Fraser Park actually do something this season and, get promoted and not face the axe, or even stay in NPL 4 next season? And with that, I'm going to throw it over to my co-host, Will Thompson, who has all the latest updates in the club championship standings. Will, how's it all looking in this round?
Thanks for that, Marcel. Let's kick it off now with the NPL 1 Club Championship. And of course, Wollongong Wolves are still out on top on 55 points. Blacktown City has caught up to them, however, 55 as well. Wolves do have a game in hand. RPR not too far away on 48. And Sydney FC, the next closest, down in 4th on 38 points. Down the bottom of the standings is Marconi Stallions on 17, only picking up a total of 12 points from their first graders and 3 points apiece from 18s and the 20s. Southern Sharks as well, second from the bottom, also has 12 points. However, their juniors, as traditionally, doing a bit better, 6 and 8 points from the 18s and 20s. Marconi do have a number of games in hand, however. They have 4 games in hand over their, bottom of the table rivals. And Rockdale City Suns, down third last on 28 points. Now, they've only picked up 16 from first grade. 18s haven't delivered anything yet, and their 20s have 12 points. So, a bit of a surprise there with Rockdale being so far down. Of course, they do have games in hand. They got 2 games in hand there, and Mount Druitt Town Rangers on 31 points. The NVL 1 newcomers not doing too badly for themselves, 16 points from first grade and 9 and 6 from the 18s and 20s apiece. Moving into the NPL 2 table now, and the Western Sydney Wanderers are out in front on 79 points, Northern Tigers on 77 and Spirit on 75. The next closest, of course, is North Shore Mariners on 63. So it seems that we're sort of breaking to an early sort of 3-4-way tussle at the moment at the top with Wanderers, Tigers and Spirit. No doubt that later on in the season we can see some charges from North Shore Mariners, Lions, Spartans, Mariners as well. They're definitely a side that, I guess, typically makes a pretty big push, and from all accounts that the academy sides will be pushing hard to get into NPL 1 this season. So, if we have a look, Wanderers, they've picked up 48 points from the first grade, and 13 and 18 from the 18s and 20s. Tigers, only 36 from first grade. However, their 20s are leading the way with 30 points. And Spirit, of course, picking up a majority of their points from their firsts, 52. Their 20s also contributing 14 with 9 points going from their 18s. Down the other end of the table, and Bonnyrigg White Eagles are finally into the positive now. They have 2 points picked up. So they've got 16 total from their first graders. So good to see a traditional NPL 1 team, I guess, and one of the members of the old guard sort of trying to fight for survival. And I think I said last week that we will see them at least survive this year. I think promotion might be a bit out of reach with that 30-point disadvantage at the start, because if you took that, that'd be on at least 32 with games in hand. That'd be about mid-table. Canterbury Bankstown next on 17 points, St George FC 18, MacArthur Rams on 19. So you've got 4 teams there, so they're all down the bottom, and St George City on 35 with a bit of safety there at the moment. So surprisingly, St George only on 18 points. Traditionally, I guess, one of the other stronger NPL 2 teams. Their first grades got 16 points. Their 18s and 20s really doing nothing at the moment. Only 2 points from 18s and nothing from 20s. So they're going to really want to focus on those to pick up some points in the coming up weeks. But at the moment, Macarthur Rams, St George, Canterbury and Bonnyrigg all fighting it out to save themselves from relegation. Moving into the NPL 3 now, and Gladesville Magic out on top on 68 points, Dully on 54 and Sydney University 43, Dunbar 42 and Bankstown City 41. I'd say those would be the 5 sides that would be pushing the most for promotion. SD Raiders and Bankstown United we might see a late charge from, but those sort of couple at the top would be my picks as one of those ones going up definitely. Gladesville Magic at the moment seem to be the favourites, have a 14-point lead over Dully. That's not to say that Dully can't make it up, especially if they get some good wins in their first grade side. Down the other end, and of course we have Western Mariners on negative 25, Parramatta on negative 16, Granville on negative 15, Hawkesbury negative 9, and Stanmore negative 3. And then there's a 23-point gap up to Camden Tigers. So with 5 teams to be relegated from NPL 3 this season, it's hard to go past those 5 that are currently down the bottom as to going down into NPL 4 for next year. And speaking of the current State League / NPL 4, Fraser Park is out on front on 30 points, Central Coast United 26, South Coast Flame 24, picking back up after that loss to Western Condors. However, a number of games were washed out, and we are only 2 rounds into the season, so at this stage it really is all speculation, and with buys and everything as well, it's going to be really hard to sort of read out anything from the table at this point in time. But so far, Fraser Park, Central Coast, and even Nepean, once they play their games in hand, would be the sort of 3 contenders at the moment. Hurstville, of course, on 15 with a full round in hand as well. Moving into the women's now, and Sydney University out on top on 30 points, Illawarra Stingrays on 27, Koalas on 24, Northern Tigers 22. Going down the other end, North Shore Mariners are in the driver's seat for relegation, only on 3 points. Macarthur Rams on 10, and Bankstown City on 12. If we look into the women's 2 division, Gladesville Ravens are currently in the driver's seat for promotion, 39 points in total, 36 of those coming from the first grade side. They've been outstanding this season so far, just really dominating the competition from their couple of games. And then RPL Leica on 27 and Nepean on 25. Sutherland Shire on 22, the team that came down last year, might fight for promotion again, but hell, if you're to I guess make any sort of judgment calls from early on in the season, you'd be saying that Gladesville Ravens would be the team to go up. And I think that's all that we've got time for today. Thanks for tuning in once again. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to our new YouTube channel, all those good things. Thank you very much for your support on the page, and we'll talk to you again next week.